Yes, it's so good to be back. Paul Hickey here with nooffseason.com. Welcome to the Sports Card Strategy Show. We are so excited. It's the week of the National. There's a lot going on this week in the hobby, and I'm here with my main man, Dr. Crack Chad Guell, aka the Sports Card Doctor. How you doing today, Chad?
I'm doing good, thanks. How's everybody else doing?
Well, everyone here is doing really, really well. Thank you for asking. And it's my son's first week of middle school football, so I know you've been there before with your kids and stuff. So it's an exciting week. He's been prepping for it, and he's in the background here getting ready. So
is he doing the 6 a.m. twice a day type stuff?
No, it's like different times this week because there's like coaches meetings and stuff with the parents, but primarily I think it's like 8 a.m. to 11 or something. So
oh wow,
yeah.
My son's first year was 6. We couldn't believe it. We're like, okay, he's in 6th grade, and we got 6 a.m. and 3 p.m. 2-a-day practices.
Jeez.
4 days a week for the first 2 weeks. Are you kidding me? So that was quite the learning experience in football.
That's super intense. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to say good morning to Brian Steeler 714 in the chat. Yeah, good morning to all my cardboard brothers and sisters. We have more and more females a part of the nooffseason.com family, which is a good thing for the hobby, obviously. Craig's Cards 11, still sporting the Elly De La Cruz profile pic on YouTube. Southern Soccer Idiot in the house. Good to see you. Janelle Shaw in the house. Good morning, Janelle. She's a loyal subscriber to nooffseason.com. So appreciate everybody in the live chat. I'm sure we're going to hear more from people who join as we keep rolling here. And if you're listening on Apple and Spotify, don't worry. You're not left out. You can, hit us up on Instagram at Sports Card Strategy, on Twitter at nooffseasoncard. You can email me at paul@nooffseason.com. We'll give you a shout out on the show if you're not able to make the live stream. Janelle Shoe. Love it. I appreciate the correction on the pronunciation. I always try to do my best to get the pronunciations of the new live stream members correct, but sometimes we get it wrong. And here's our Lefty. Lefty McKee is in the house. Good to see you. How's it going, Kendall?
It's good, boys. How are we?
Doing well. Joining us just in time. Just got started saying hello to the audience. Cleo Cards in the house. We got strong participation from the live stream. More and more people are commenting about like, hey, you've got this live stream element to the show, but you're a long form podcast on Apple and Spotify. My philosophy is, look, we're going to stream this on YouTube, involve the audience because we love doing that. But we're this long form audio podcast format for Apple and Spotify as well. So if you're listening on Apple and Spotify, don't feel left out. You're definitely part of the family. So, speaking of part of the family, there's a huge part of the nooffseason.com family that is stepping up huge to sponsor a audience meet and greet at the National on Thursday night. It is up against the big trade night, but if you're in for like more of an intimate feel and not that massive setup of the big trade night with Roadshow Cards and Card Collector 2, come out to Crust Brewing if you're going to be at the National this week. Thursday night from 7 p.m. to 9:30, Graybo's Sports Cards, our show sponsor, is also bringing us that meet and greet with our audience. We would love to see you out there if you're going to be in Chicago. And Graybo's Sports Cards, don't forget, they're a local hobby shop owned by Gray Burnett, Ryan Fitz, and Duke Denny One-Time Dodson. They're located in the Arts District of Richmond, Virginia. They sport the best selection of raw and graded singles in the Mid-Atlantic and a wide variety of wax. Listeners of the Sports Card Strategy Show can receive 10% off graybos.co by using the promo code STRATEGY2023. Graybos now also breaks on the Drip app 5 nights a week, including baseball, basketball, football, and even wrestling. Use the link in their IG bio at Graybos_cards to get a $15 credit after your first purchase on Drip. Follow all of Graybo's news and updates on IG at Graybos_cards. So again, if you're going to be at the National, check us out. We're going to be at booth 3216 Kraken Slabs. So we hope to see you there. If you're not there, don't worry. We're going to be putting out a lot of great content from the National. That's why we're all going to meet up with our audience, our family, nooffseason.com fam, and put out content for those of you who can't make it so you don't feel left out. Also get unlimited personalized advice. Build your sports card investment portfolio by getting a free 30-day trial now at nooffseason.com. That's basically the hub of where Lefty, Chad, and I talk about all of our plays, all of our data we get from marketmoversapp.com, where you can get 20% off for life using the promo code NOOFFSEASON. That's after you get the first 14 days for free when you're trying it out. So a lot of stuff there that you should do. We hope you do it all, because we feel like that's all part of the basic formula of being able to make money flipping sports cards. And that's what we're here to help you do. So let's get into it, shall we? Lefty, I know you've probably got a lot to talk about today. Anything you want to say before we get into your L of the week?
Man, I just wanted to shout out to Turner again. He showed up to my house and he was like, "Hey, I got like a 35 card submission for PSA." And literally, it's just all of our plays. It's just like everything that we've recommended, plus like a Christian Watson Packers optic card. Like, like I mean, it's like Caleb Williams. We've got Cade Cunningham in here. We've got Spencer Jones. We've got Roman Anthony. We've got James Wood. Like, I mean, the guy's just literally just like, hey, nooffseason.com to the moon, you know. And so shout out to Turner.
If you guys watched the show and tell last week, that's Paul Schmidt's Buckeye Dill also. Like his whole show and tell submission is literally just like all the plays that we recommend. And this last week, they were all Bowman prospects. And then on the Overflow show too, he's like, hey, like I need 2 more guys. So we helped him out with that, obviously. So that's fun. So who's Turner? Is that your intern again? Clarify this situation for us. We've had a lot of people. We've had people emailing me about internships at nooffseason.com, which is great. Please do that if you want to. Paul at nooffseason.com. But who's Turner?
Turner's just my intern. He's just the guy that keeps like just hitting me up with. He's local, so we talk about cards at my house. Like we just like we crack slabs together. I mean, he's full on sports card strategy show intern, but just right here.
That's awesome.
In Lexington.
Good work. Way to go, Lefty. Way to foster that community over there in Lexington, Kentucky. Craig's Cards 11 is going to see us on Thursday night. That's awesome. Looking forward to that. Trey Bischoff in the house. Good to see you. Appreciate the support. Haven't heard this guy's name in a while. Oh My Shoes is back in the live stream. Shoes is, of course, a regular everywhere that we do content. Marty Neal Jr. is first time catching the live stream.
Welcome, Marty.
I know that name. We know Marty. Good to see Marty in the live stream chat. That's awesome. All right, Lefty. Well, we've got you queued up here, man. You want to jump into your L of the week for us?
Sure. Yeah, my L of the week is that the World Cup is at the worst time possible to try to watch it. I've tried to watch a couple of games. Luckily, the women's national team game was at 9:00 for me on Eastern time. But all the other games that I wanted to tune into are like at 3 a.m., 2 a.m. I'm just like, this is tough. So having the World Cup in New Zealand, not my favorite. That is definitely an L of the week for me. Card wise, I made a big play on Jude Bellingham, thinking that there would be super, super hype after the transaction. Well, like after he moved to Real Madrid, it honestly wasn't that big of news when he moved to Madrid because of Messi moving to America. So right. It like all happened at the same time. So Bellingham moving to Madrid wasn't as big of news as I thought it was going to be. So I'm sitting here holding a pretty big Jude Bellingham card that I wanted to sell before the National. And I'm probably going to have to hold it through the National. So that's a kind of an L. Like I still believe in him and I'm going to get that money back probably, but it was a flip that I was trying to make before the National. And and here it is. So
yeah, you're right. Like that kind of got lost in the news cycle because like we were talking about Jude for a long time. With when the transfer hype happens, you're gonna be able to sell them, blah blah blah, and that doesn't always work out. So sorry to hear that. But what is the card? What's the big card?
it's a color blast, Jude Bellingham.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
It's beautiful. PSA 10. Wonder if I have it right here actually. But another like the media cycle that just happened with Jude kind of getting lost. Elly has kind of lost other prospects.
Yes,
like there's other prospects that have come in that we really like and believe in, and they've gotten lost in the Elly hype, and so
yeah, like
that
what
we're talking about.
Throw in this L segment, right? Because for those of you who sort of waited to try and sell Endy upon call up, or some of the other guys that have gotten called up in the last couple of weeks, you're probably not getting the hype spike that you thought because a lot of the attention's going to Elly. We talked about that on the Overflow show. That's the show where we answer all of the premium members' questions. So, yeah, that's a good point. And
Christian Encarnacion Strand as well came up. Didn't get quite as much hype as we thought he would.
Yeah. And Janelle Shu totally agrees with you on the times of the Women's World Cup. Max and I watched a little bit of the game against Vietnam, and it seems like there's the Jude. Lefty, for those of you on YouTube, is holding up the Jude. For those of you who can't see it on Apple and Spotify, it's a beaut. The Obsidian Color Blast. That's solid. And it's a PSA 10.
Yep.
That's huge. Big card. That should still sell for a good amount.
Sweet card.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not mad I have it for sure.
He's still Jude, so
yeah. I mean, he's still 19 years old, playing as a star for Real Madrid and the England national team. So
yeah, for sure. A lot of great stuff happening in the live comments here. So Evan Bell's in the house talking about getting together a sports card strategy show golfing weekend. I'm totally about that. Shoes.
I don't know if y'all want that.
Hey, Lefty, that's okay. They handicap golf. So if you're horrible,
I'm so bad.
We can hook you up. Chad, let's get you in here, my man. What's going on with you, and what's your L of the week?
Well, I've got a couple of L's of the week. The first one revolves around the U.S. women's national team and all the negative publicity they're getting with this not singing the national anthem. They were all standing. Nobody was being disrespectful. I just think that's an L for our country that we have to. The only way that people can get publicity nowadays, it seems like, is if they do something. They got to do something negative. I mean, they're dominating. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They were game focused. Can we focus on something else? I mean, to me, that's just a total L. They weren't doing anything disrespectful, so they didn't mouth the words. Who cares? I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but to me, that's an L that they got to bring all that negative publicity to the women's national team just because they weren't mouthing the words to our national anthem. Card related, I, trying to be like Lefty, went out and bought myself a Colt Keith blue numbered to 150 auto and raw off of eBay. Got the card, and it was, when I looked it over, it was not gradable. So I had to turn around and flip it in raw condition. And so I put it on an auction instead of the buy it now like I typically do, because I wanted it gone in 7 days. I didn't want it hanging around. When you take an L, you got to do it quickly and rip the Band-Aid off, right? So that's an auction style listing, and I lost $32 with shipping on the card. So a 14-day play and a $32 loss, that's $2 a day. That's not the way I normally do things.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. Normally you're profiting like $300 per play, and your L is like a $30 profit. So
yeah, so that's not very Dr. Crack like, but and the other one too is another L was in all the plays that we've been talking about, these 2023 Bowman cards. quality control on 2023 Bowman is awful. I bought 100 cards to do 5 different 20 card plays, and I could only come up with 28 that were grade worthy. 28 out of 100 that I felt were grade worthy. So there are 72 of them that I had to resell on eBay as ungraded cards, just because the centering is so damn bad on those. It's unbelievable.
It's interesting. I've got something coming up here in a second that's a little bit different experience with that release, but I mean, of course, you have a bigger sample size than I do in terms of that. So maybe I just got lucky. So stay tuned for that here in a second. But yeah, that's too bad. On the Women's World Cup thing, like, not to spend too much time on this, but I'm not familiar with the situation that you're talking about, but just learning about it from you now, I have to totally agree with you. Like, I think that like, you know, that in a vacuum to me is like typical media just trying to find something negative, which is stupid. I hate that. So I agree with you. And I mean, for the record, like, I've watched, I don't know how many 100 sporting events on TV and live in person, and like, I don't always see all the athletes singing the national anthem. Like, since when did that? Is that I mean, is Lefty? Is that like a soccer thing? Is that a World Cup? Is that like a Olympics or a World Cup type thing where you're supposed to do that? Like, where does that even come from? Do you know?
No, I mean, sometimes, like, there's been occasions in the past where it's just like a guy is just locked in, and then maybe another guy next to him is singing, but he's just not, you know, like,
focused.
I mean, reverence also could happen if you're just like sitting there in the midst of the song as well. Like, you don't have to be singing it to revere it.
Right.
Like,
I know.
that's just a freaking stupid take by whoever did. Like, anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm proud to be an American, and I understand that there's been a lot of stuff that's gone on in the past couple of years, and I don't agree with a lot of it, but I also don't agree with a lot of the way the media handled it. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. So before we get to my L, which is totally 100% card related, Brian Steeler 714, this is kind of a W from our audience. He's been bringing it strong with the content lately, and he's saying, if you didn't take one of your blue Colt Keith autos, if Chad didn't take one, bring one to the National, because he wants to try to come after it. So
right.
There you go. Brian Steeler 714 also is going to take on Onyx face to face, and we're going to be there for that showdown. Can't wait for the Riley Green. Is there really only 5 of them situations? For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, just go back and listen to the last couple episodes and you'll find it. It's pretty great stuff from Brian Steeler 714. Janelle Shu, I'm going to get her name correct from now on. Janelle Shu. How do you find out when prospects are called up? I saw doctors post about Sal Frelick, I believe. I have no idea where you catch those. So I'm just going to say, we have had this question so many times that we are going to add this to our website. Like, we are going to do a more concentrated effort at basically prognosticating the prospects, because I think, Lefty, would you agree that like there's really no one place, and if nooffseason.com becomes a place for that, then that could be very valuable for our audience?
Yeah. I mean, everybody, there are people getting called up every single day. And so it's just a matter of like, are they the guys that we are paying attention to?
Right.
And so there are plays that can be made all over baseball. That's the good thing about the sport. The good thing about the sport in terms of sports card trading is there's marginal plays you can make all over the game.
Yeah, and there are websites that literally like track every single transaction in Major League and minor league baseball.
But I wouldn't say that they talk about it from a card perspective, nor do they just announce like, this guy's a big deal and he's coming up, you know.
Right. It's literally
Sal Frelick coming up this week
of transactions. Like, so you have, so the way we'll do it is like, I think it's like Fangraph. Like, Fangraph literally just has like a page that has a list of transactions, which isn't, to Lefty's point, necessarily that helpful. I think what we want to do is filter it down to like the handful of guys each month or maybe each week during the season that are significant from a card standpoint, and maybe a couple sleepers, something like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to say where I get my information is I'm MLB call-up tracker. I don't know where Lefty gets his, but MLB call-up tracker. I get a text message as soon as a player gets called up. I get, sometimes it's none and sometimes it's 2 or 3 in a day. MLB call-up tracker.
There you go, Janelle. That's a good call, Chad. So that's a quick one for you, but we're going to try to do the analysis around that and the tracking of the ones that we think are significant at nooffseason.com. So thanks, Janelle. Appreciate that. All right. So time for my L of the week. This one, for those of you who have been listening and or watching the show, this one's an L. It's a 1987 Fleer Michael Jordan, number 59. This is a card I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I've been after significantly. And it's a tough one because it's old. It's from 1987. And people want a lot of money for it in whatever condition that they're trying to sell it for. And I bought a CSG 8.5 for $500. And so the reason I bought the CSG 8.5 is because a PSA 9 consistently sells for close to $1,600, between $1,500 and $1,600. So I'm staring like a after fees $900 potential profit in the face with Dr. Chad Guell's floor of between $400 and even over $600 potentially for a PSA 8. So you're looking at even potentially a profit by going down half a grade. Well, what did I get? I got a PSA 7. So that's an L. Now I cracked out. We've talked about this before. A couple weeks ago, my L of the week was like a bunch of these, right? From months ago, where I got these grades back, and then I didn't like the PSA grade that I got, so I cracked them out, sent them back to PSA, and then got worse grades. So this is a CSG 8.5 that came back a PSA 7. I know for a fact that I didn't damage the card, cracking it. I just didn't. If I would have damaged the card cracking it, these cards from 1987 are so frail that if you damage them, you can see the damage after you crack them out. You're going to bend the entire card if you damage it at all. And just the way I cracked this slab, I know I didn't damage it. So I do know that there's a little mark. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there is a couple little marks here on the back. My thought is that PSA just has different grading standards for these cards than other grading companies. And Chad made a good point also on the Overflow show about just the amount of cards that PSA grades. I will say that I did submit this by itself. So I didn't, and the reason I submitted this by itself is because I didn't want to include it in a bulk submission, because the insurance limit on the bulk submission is $499. And so I wanted this. That was my way of kind of nudging PSA to say, hey, I actually think this is a $1,500 card. So I'm going to go ahead and pay more money for you guys to grade it by itself, so that I get the insurance level that will cover at least the $1,500 to $1,600 potential value of this card. And not only did it come back a PSA 8, but it came back a PSA 7, which is horrible. So
what's a 7 go for?
The 7 goes for, it's not going to totally kill me, but it's going for around between $300 and $400 over the last 30 days. So, and it is up. Conceivably, Lefty, I could sell this during the hype of the upcoming NBA season. Maybe it'll go up a little bit more and I can get close to a wash. But I mean, it's still a situation where I'm just kind of shocked to get a 7. And so I think my takeaway here, I'm interested to hear, obviously, Chad and Lefty's feedback on this. But my takeaway here is that, so I've done this a lot now since March. And every time I've done it, by this, I mean crack another slab from CSG, SGC, or HGA and submit to PSA. Every time I've done it with an ultra modern card, I'd say my success rate is far higher than when I've done it with a card from the 80s or 90s. Cards from the 80s or 90s, with the exception of the Ken Griffey Jr. 1989 Upper Deck, all of the basketball cards from the 80s and 90s have sucked with this strategy. Big time L's compared to Ultra Modern. Ultra Modern has done very well. There was one time, I'll even say, I scratched a Jalen Hurts card with the screwdriver, and I still got a good grade on it, and I could see the scratch. So I think it's the way that the Ultra Modern cards hold up against things like this, versus the way that versus the way that the older cards do. But Chad, what do you think about this, man?
Yeah, that hurts. One of the reasons why I get really good documented pictures of especially the bigger dollar cards like that before I send them was like my Kevin Durant play that we talked about with PSA. If those two marks on the back of that card were not there prior to sending them to PSA, you could open up a case with PSA.
Yeah.
They do occasionally damage your cards, which is why if you have a bigger dollar card, it's really important to properly document before you send it, because you don't want PSA to damage your card and you have to pay for it. So,
yeah.
Do you know, were those marks there prior?
Yeah, they were there. They were there. And I kind of thought about like, maybe do I not crack this because they're there, blah, blah, blah. And again, like I'm trying to get better at that. But I told you guys on a recent show that like I'm kind of one track minded when it comes to like when I have a plan, I continue to execute that plan all the way through to see what happens. And like if I stop in the middle of the plan, I sort of feel like I didn't do my job. But I think like honestly, I'll talk about this more in September, October, November. I'll reveal some more. I've been thinking a lot about my sports card strategy, what it's going to be heading into 2024. It's going to be very different than what I've been doing in the past. And I think part of it's going to be more calculated around what I submit. That's going to be a very small part of it, but it will be what I submit and what I hold back from submitting. So here's another one though, real quick. Another L. So I got a submission back that I'm going to highlight in my win of the week here in a second. But this is the first time this has happened to me. The card on the side, you're not going to be able to see it here, but this is the card. The Angel Reese SI for kids got a 5, which is a fine grade. That's not the L. The L is that it was on, the PSA boxes, like the smaller boxes. I love the way they package them, by the way. And they package them well to where there's always either bubble wrap or like padding, depending on how many cards they're trying to fit in the box. Well, this is one of the ones where they're fitting all of the cards that they can possibly fit in the box. So they got that little kind of padding around the edges that you sort of peel back lightly. And so the Angel Reese was the one on the far left side when you opened up the box, and the like this edge of the slab was cracked. So just kind of disappointing that that was the first out of like I don't know how many hundred just in 2023 that I've opened that have had no issues at all. But it's disappointing that you get a submission back and one of your slabs is already cracked on the side, kind of chipping away. It's really cheap plastic from PSA. It's just these slabs are really, really cheap plastic. That's a beef that I have, I think, with that. So it's like I think all of us are probably always immediately taking these out and putting them in team bags.
Yeah.
And so so that's what I was doing, and it's like, oh god, it's already chipped. So has this ever happened to you?
No, I've never had that happen in tens of thousands of cards. So you're lucky enough to have that happen to you.
I would, and that's why I do it, man. I do it for the content for this audience. That's
PSA will they'll fix that for you. Send it back in. They'll reholder it and fix it, especially if it came out of the box that way. Wouldn't cost you any money, but just the time and the screwing around to get it done. That's right. Nanette. Come on, Nanette. Fix it for us. Let's go.
Nanette.
Maybe I should bring it to the National. Is Nanette going to be at the National, Chad? Do you know?
I do not know.
Okay. I know you got her on speed dial, so I thought maybe you would have an update for us. All right. So let's go over to brighter topics. Lefty, I know you got a win of the week that you want to share with us, man. What's your win of the week?
Yeah, so my win is that I've been able to put my United States women's national team cards online, and they're moving. Just like it was the exact same play I made for the men's World Cup, except for the men's World Cup, no cards moved. It was so weird. Like even the big cards, like my Ronaldos and things like that, they just were like nobody was moving cards. But the women's World Cup cards are moving. So I have this Alex Morgan, that Alex Morgan 2019 Panini Chrome or Obsidian out of 39 that I just absolutely love. And I've been able to get quite a few bids on that one. So if you could see this right here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You
So
held that one up before, and it's like,
I love this card, and
Yeah.
I'm sad to see her go. But it's a play that I knew that I made last year that I was like, okay, I'm going to sell this during the World Cup right as it starts. Like I'm not going to wait, even though she missed a PK the other night. Like she's still she's the best. She
that
has
was weird that she missed that.
I know. And she had like a crazy assist too. So I mean, she still played great. But then I also went ahead and got. I wanted to talk about W's of the week, the Corbin Carroll PSA 10 market. We've talked about this maybe a month ago, and Chad and I were talking about like how high will it go. I've seen some of the PSA 10s for him going like to like 130, 140, 150, and we were talking about it might reach 125. And I remember being like, Chad, yeah, you're right, like that's good statistics. And so I was just like, I'm not saying like I'm not rubbing it in Chad's face, but it's doing something that we did not expect. People are still buying Corbin Carroll PSA 10 chromes. And so I think that's really good for our market of grading first chromes.
Yeah.
Like that bulk submission play that we're all making right now is like putting all these James Woods in and Roman Anthony's and stuff like that. That's good news because that's good news for just the base Chrome 10, or the base Chrome 10 of all these cards is going up. And Elly's Chrome 10s are still going up, and so it's just like it's kind of like like kind of wild thing, but I think it's a W for not only us three as we're making that play, and not only us as a community that's people are grading Chrome 10s, but for us to recognize that the sports card market, I think, is coming out of the bubble that we saw pop in the last couple of years. And I think money is reinvesting in the hobby. And I'm interested to see what this week will be like at the National, because I believe that it'll be back like before. I believe the 2020 National or the 2021 National was electric. Everything was amazing.
Yeah.
We were there together. I mean, it was just like, no, we weren't there together. We were in Atlantic City. But
yeah, we were in Atlantic City.
I was there, and it was just like it was like going to Disneyland. Like the thing was freaking awesome. And then last year at Atlantic City, it was kind of like wah wah, like it wasn't super like I expected it to be because of probably just a multitude of things, including it being in Atlantic City. But now we're back in Chicago again at Rosemont. I believe it'll be an incredible week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it big time. So I want to elaborate real quick on your point about the Corbin Carroll data, because I think I agree with you. The reason why I think that this is good at a macro level is because you take the Anthony Volpe example, and the Anthony Volpe example where Chad suggested the bulk plays earlier on in the season, and he had the Jordan Walker example as well. Those guys not having performed as well. I mean, I know Walker kind of has come back and done better and everything, but like we always talk about a surefire play being sell upon initial call up hype, or like during the potential call up week, things like that being a good selling point, or listing immediately upon call up news, things like that. But specifically trying to sell the card before they start playing a lot because we're not sure how well they're going to play. It's on one side, it sucks that like a prospect like Volpe's card will go down if he doesn't play well, or Spencer Torkelson kind of a thing a couple years ago, Kalenic a couple years ago. But it's great to see on the other side of it what you're saying about Corbin Carroll and what we're seeing with Elly De La Cruz. I think for it to be more player performance oriented than not is a good thing for what we're trying to help people do on this show. When there is a rhyme or reason to, hey, this guy is performing and his cards are going up, that is a healthy sign for the micro market of that particular sport and player and things like that. And at a macro level, I think that's a bigger sign to me that the sports card market overall, which I don't like to, I like to say that there's not an overall sports card market. There's only micro markets. But I think that when a Corbin Carroll card goes up after his performance goes up, and an Elly De La Cruz card does the same thing, and all of their cards start to go up based on their performance, to me, that's a sign that the market is healthy, maybe even more so than like the Mantle and the big Jordan cards and things like that. Like, I think because we're looking at what moves you can make now based on player performance versus like some trend where there's not a whole lot of even pop count or sales data to go on to look at the overall market. So anyway, I think that is a big win. I agree with you. Ziggy knows in the house. Good to see you, Ziggy. Cheers to you as well. Hopefully we'll see you at the National. Not sure if you're going to be there. Lefty, do you have anything else for your win of the week, or should I take over here for mine?
No, take over.
All right. So I'm going to go before Chad for a couple of reasons here. My first part of my win of the week is this 22 card grading submission that I got back. I've been beating myself up in the L of the week for several weeks now about my L's with PSA, but I have had some wins, and this grading submission I got back was a huge win. So it was a 22 card submission. Just real quick, other than the Sports Illustrated for Kids card, which I threw in there, which got a 5, it was basically 95% 10s and 5% 9s. So it was a huge win for me. And so the biggest wins here, we've got a James Wood base chrome. We've got Jackson Churio base chromes, a couple of those. We've got a Jackson Churio prospect
who is flying, by the way.
Paper prospect who's like, he's raking now, right, Lefty? That's what somebody from Just Baseball would say.
I mean, yeah, like Churio can't get any better, and then he has the better July than he's had previously. It's just like this dude.
While we're on Jackson Churio, for the record, he is my guy as much, if not more so, than Cam Thomas and Victor Wembanyama. For those of you who have listened to the show for a while, you know me as having put a stake in the ground for Cam Thomas and then for Victor Wembanyama SI for Kids cards. I am doing it again. People are asking me, what's your next Victor Wembanyama play? I've got 2 of them. My surefire one, it's almost a captain obvious, but not quite, is Jackson Churio. Just go buy Jackson Churio PSA 10s. These are huge wins right here, guys. I got 2 of his Sapphire editions that I bought raw, and they both came back 10s. And then Spencer Jones out of the 2023 Bowman, 2 chromes from courtesy of Lefty, 2 chromes and a paper that I bought raw off of eBay. All 3 of them 10s. Going to Drew Jones, who I know you 2 hate, but I'm going to actually go against you guys and say, I love Drew Jones. I say buy Drew Jones. I say buy Drew Jones while he does suck. Lefty is posting highlights of him in the text string with Chad and I about him like bailing out of the batter's box with a curveball and stuff. You know what, Lefty? I say buy Drew Jones because it's just the hype train, baby. But look at this. Look at this. 10 lunar refractor, 2 lunar refractors. One's a 10, one's a 9. Just got a regular base, got a 10. I'm going to make money on these things. I don't care how good or sucky Drew Jones ends up being. I'm going to make money on these things. Got a Brooks Lee Sapphire 10. Now go to football. Anthony Richardson, 2022 Bowman University Chrome Prospects Auto 10. Let's get hype for these guys. Here's my other Victor Wembanyama-esque play next. Caleb M. effing Williams. Caleb Williams, the surefire #1 pick in the 2024 NFL draft. Buy him. It is July 24th, 2023. Nobody cares about Caleb Williams right now. Buy him now, right? And so here's an auto, got a 10. One of these was cracked out. I think this one was cracked out of an SGC 1010. This was an SGC 1010. It came back a PSA 10, did not get the auto graded, no reason to. Here's a big one though. The Lava Refractor version of this out of 199 got a 10. People, I'm going to be holding these during the NFL draft hype season of 2024, and I'm going to sell the SHIT out of these things right away during that hype season. There's going to be no reason to hold them, no emotion here. Hey, one more thing. Why not just throw in a Benedict Mathurin Monopoly Brown Prism and get a 10? I mean, this was a huge win. Really, really pumped, as you can see about this, guys. So, but you know what? I will say, as pumped as I am about this win, we got to talk about Chad Gill, the collector that flips to fund his 1 million card collection, being featured on sportscardinvestor.com. What a great article here. Big time assist to Connor Barnett, who's in the background. Big time assist to him. But Sports Card Investor here, Chad Gill, good work. Everybody go check out sportscardinvestor.com. Find the article. Read about Chad, how he built up his collection. Flipping to fund his over $1 million collection. Doesn't get any better than that. So we're going to pass it over here to Chad in a second. But before we do, Chad, I remember, even though you're the sports card doctor, I remember 2 weeks ago, I said, hey, everybody, there's a little tennis tournament right now called Wimbledon. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Let's go. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Lefty, you can take this home for me if you want. I mean, you guys have heard me talk for the last probably 10 minutes straight on my wins. So if you want to take it away, you can.
No. I'm just hyped about this.
Okay. So I said there's a 20-year-old Spanish phenom right now who's the #1 player in the world. He's being overlooked because the Joker's in this tournament. You can go get his Net Pro rookie cards that were, limited print run editions. I say air quotes by Net Pro, but they did it kind of like a Topps Now-ish style of his rookie cards. That's how they used to do the Venus and the Serenas, I think, back in the day. Anyway, I said, look, this could be a nice little quick flip. It could be. You could buy this, and then over the next 10 days, the tournament plays out to where he could potentially win it. And I think Duke Dotson was on the show too, and he was like, nah, the Joker's going to win it. And I think Chad purposely got his name wrong just to throw some mud in my face. He called him Alcatraz, like the prison. No, my friend. Carlos Alcaraz comes back, wins Wimbledon. I mean, that's a win. That's a win for me. It's not Chad's style to take risks like that. And but sometimes it's fun. So that was just I gotta take Chad down a notch after being featured on Sports Card Investor. Anyway, Chad, over to you, man.
I love it. Both you guys taking shots at me today. This is great. So thanks for the article. The article was really well written. I thought you did a great job on that, Paul. It's very humbling to read the article. So that was a great article. Thanks for that. As far as taking some shots at me, keep them coming. I love it. Can't be right on everything all the time, right? It's a game of percentages, and if I'm right, more than 50% of the time I'm winning. So there are lots of losses. That's why we have an L of the week.
Yeah. And so this is the data coming in, while you talk.
Are you Mr. Alcatraz? How much his cards are up?
Mr. Alcatraz is up a lot, everybody. Just so you know. Okay, sorry, Chad. Go ahead.
No, that's great. That was a great call, and that's not. You're right. That's not my cup of tea, but I hope everybody listened to Paul and went out and bought some prison cards. Alcatraz.
Sorry, you got
cards.
me there. I like that. Some prison.
So
cards. Okay, go.
That's all right. My W of the week is what could have been an L of the week. It turned into a W of the week. And before I do this, just talking about your congratulations on your PSA submission. That's awesome.
Thank you. That
submissions like that are what keep you coming back for all those recracks. And it helps fund your recrack.
Exactly.
Anyways, Churio is on it. I posted on our Facebook site the link with Churio. He's been on it lately, so he struggled a little bit coming up to AA, and now he's getting it figured out. And that guy is going to be amazing, and he plays for my Brewers, so that's very exciting.
And potentially for my Nashville Sounds.
Yes,
hopefully not for long though.
Yeah,
South Freelick though, Chad. Holy moly!
Yeah, we're gonna get to Sal in a minute, but Sal is. I've been shouting from the rooftops. I loved Sal for a couple of months now, and he finally got his call because he got injured at the beginning of the year when all the outfielders went down. He had his opportunity. He got injured. I thought, oh no, he missed his opportunity. But he's such a baller. He got called up anyways. And I mean, have a day, son. First game in the major leagues, 3 for 3, 2 RBIs, game-winning RBI, and 2 home run robbing catches at the wall that make ESPN's top 10 plays. He's in 2 of top 10 plays. I mean, come on. This guy's the real deal. Going back to, I missed an L of the week talking about my Brewers. Mizorowski is a up-and-coming pitcher in the Brewers system, flamethrower. In the Futures game, set a record with 13 pitches over 100 miles an hour. He was playing for the Appleton Timber Rattlers, which is 30 minutes from my house. And after the All-Star break, I told my son, we're going to go up and we're going to go watch this guy. I bought a Bowman Chrome first. We're going to get it autographed because at the Timber Rattlers, it's really easy to get autographs. And what happens, we're at his last tournament of the year. He has a flaming game, first game back, and they announced that they're moving him up to AA. So I missed my opportunity. Oh man, that sucks. But anyways, W of the week could have been an L of the week. Turned out to be a W of the week. I had bought 3. For those of you that didn't see the packaging, this is my my Shohei Ohtani card that we talked about. Poor packaging. It's bent in half. I had bought 4 of them from 3 different buyers, so this one didn't turn out so good. The other 3 didn't turn out so great either, as none of them were gradable when I got them. They all would have been 8s and probably 8s. One might have been a 9, but I didn't want to take the chance that I'd get all 8s. I could have gotten them graded as 8s and maybe broke even, or maybe, but why? I mean, that doesn't make any sense, right? So I turned around and I listed them all Paul style. Again, you got to rip the Band-Aid off. So I do use auction style eBay listings for this particular reason. Shohei is hot. I put all 3 of them at auctions. So I bought them 21 days ago. They all sold yesterday on a 7-day auction. And on the 3 after fees and shipping, I made $91 on 3 cards that were not gradable. So go Shohei Ohtani.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, the bent card, go check out the show and tell. Chad did a great job last week on the sports card strategy show and tell, showing you how to properly package your card so that you don't become the seller that sells somebody the card that ends up getting bent. So glad you got some wins though this week, Chad. Good work. All right, so we're gonna move over to who we're buying and who we're selling.
Can I talk about one other thing very quickly?
Absolutely.
Guys, got to talk about some massive stuff that happened this weekend. Huge point haul for my papayas. Absolute wild race. And we got 2 papayas in the top 5. Lando back-to-back second place podiums. Oscar Piastri is totally the guy that Paul was talking about. He is the best rookie on the grid by far. I mean, by far. They said that he had an old head on young shoulders. I love to have it. McLaren flying. Let's freaking go.
Yeah, good call, man. That's another good win. And I'll say this. Look to buy those Piastri cards. There it is. There's the McLaren hat. Lefty's been known to like quietly switch hats during the show, so you never know when he might be wearing a new hat. Buy those McLaren guys in December. Don't buy them right now, because Rob Masora and I did a little data dive. Rob from bobscardmarket.com. Check out bobscardmarket.com, the Discord, by the way. A lot of great stuff going on there. Rob and I dove into some F1 data, and it really, really looks like December, not unlike other sports, is the time to buy F1 cards, because you can literally go out and buy, like, I would, based on legacy data, I would think you could go look and buy Piastri PSA 10 rookies, the future stars from the 2021 Topps Chrome set, in PSA 10, and then flip them in like the last week of February, first week of March, get rid of them then during the F1 hype cycle for the season starting, and you'll make some money. So good call, Lefty, bringing up Piastri and Lando. Projectile dysfunction is in the house, says Chad, turning L's into W's. We definitely love that. Good to see projectile dysfunction in the house. So we're going to get into some who we're buying and who we're selling now. But Mark Drzezinski had a great question, and we'll answer it real quick. So Mark, thanks for commenting during the live show. We'll answer it here. So he says, I'm new to the prospecting game. What is a general rule when to sell? Do you sell some on call up and hold a few in case they do an Elly De La Cruz? I have some Sal Freliks, and his market is moving now. Lefty, we've seen some changes in this. We typically, before this year, would have said sell upon call up hype. You sold Endy a little early, but talk about what people like Mark and the rest of the audience should do now based on kind of what we've seen this season.
Yeah, I think Paul and I and Chad are all kind of like deep enough in this market. We kind of have this weird sixth sense for like, oh, the hype cycle is now. And you can kind of see it by cards moving and like a big card selling at the right time. And when you see the cards moving, then it's like, okay, like it's kind of like when you're watching for a big wave as a surfer and you're like looking, you're scanning the horizon, you see a wave forming, you're just like, I got to drop in. And sometimes the wave forms, and the barrel rolls, and sometimes, you just wait for another one. But for instance, if we were to just boldly say, as soon as they call up listed every time, we wouldn't hit the absolute peak every time. And for instance, we told you guys sell everything. And I said, like, it's a good general rule. If you have like 15 or so cards, hold on to a couple of them, I mean, like, like take your win, like it's a free card at that point, especially if you made so much money off of it. Like I kept an Elly or an Indy Rodriguez auto that I'll probably hold for a long time, because it's kind of a memento at this point of like my first big win. And so we sold Indy in spring training because the Pirates just had a lot of, like, people were watching Pirates prospects during spring training because they didn't have anything else. So like the Indy was getting value add and people were excited about him coming up. And so we started selling around the excitement. And it's not exactly the call up, but sometimes the excitement is from the call up. For instance, Encarnacion Strand came up this week, but they didn't have as much hype as when it was in spring training, when Encarnacion Strand was potentially going to crack the major league team. So looking back, it probably would have been better for us to sell CES at spring training than it would have.
That's when I sold my CES.
Right. And so, for instance, Sal Frelick had a hell of a week. Like he's tearing it up. But I actually sold Sal Frelick at spring training with everything else and took a loss on my card, on my Sal Frelick cards.
And that's what I did with Elly De La Cruz. So you kind of like you win some and you lose some, but I think each time, like, so I would say generally you're going to get the feel of it, Mark, but generally you're going to want to sell when you see the sales data showing you getting profit off of it. I think that's the answer that Lefty and I are coming up with right now, is that like sometimes it's during a hype cycle that might be pre-call up. We're typically never waiting until post call up to sell, unless, to Lefty's point, it's like one or two cards left over from like where we had 5 or more of the guy and we've already profited and we just want to play with house money to see if we can make more money or keep it as memento. But I think in general, you're looking to sell before the call up and you're going to try to pick when they're in the news cycle to the point where you have the largest market for their card. So for example, with Encarnacion Strand, why did I sell him earlier than his call up? Really, because I anticipated a situation like Lefty just laid out. I anticipated a situation where he and Elly were both going to get called up during the season. And he's definitely like second fiddle to Elly in that situation. And so when I started seeing articles about Encarnacion Strand during spring training, that's when I sold him, because I thought, okay, he's in the news cycle. I don't want to wait until he gets called up because that's a little bit riskier. But with a guy like Elly, who's like top 5 prospect at that point and number 1, unequivocally number 1 in the Reds organization prospect, he's a guy that I probably would have advised everybody to hold a little bit longer until the call up. But I probably would have gotten it wrong in the sense that like none of us would have anticipated his card prices continuing to rise post call up based on his performance. So it's always going to be impossible to predict the absolute like crescendo high point of the market. But what we're going to try to do is help you understand when the different selling windows are. And what I've started to see is the more that if you're earlier, it's a little bit better than being too late. And the reason why is because, not too, but like I said that wrong. Earlier is better than later because I'm starting to see a widening of the potential buyer's market when you're early, because you're leaving more meat on the bone for more people. When you wait until call up, you're leaving meat on the bone only for the people who believe that player is going to be an MLB star and a potential Hall of Famer. When you sell a couple months earlier than the call up or a few weeks earlier than the call up, you're leaving meat on the bone for the flipper who wants to sell upon call up and the people who think they're going to be a potential MLB Hall of Famer. So that's kind of why I'm starting to sell a little bit earlier on the prospects.
Yeah.
But we're going to always try to do our job at nooffseason.com to tell you when to sell these guys. All right. So Lefty, quick transition to who you're buying right now, my man. Who are you buying right now?
Well, I'm continuing to do our James Wood, Roman Anthony, those kind of plays, continuing to buy those. I'm also continuing to buy just random cards that I like, which isn't necessarily from an investing standpoint. But I think if there's one name that I am going to go deep on this in the next, like for definitely at the National, that I'll be looking for pretty severely is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I have been really down on him for a while. But I think that Vladdy Jr. his hard hit rate is outstanding. His batting average versus balls in play is way in his favor. And it's just like, this guy is hitting the ball harder than he ever has. And he's playing better than he ever has. And his averages and his slugging percentage and stuff don't necessarily reflect that right now. And I believe that will turn pretty significantly. And the Blue Jays will be playing it for something. They'll probably be making the playoffs in a wild card spot. But I think Vladdy Jr. is definitely a good second half investment.
Nice. So the play is like this year then?
Yeah, I would say in the next month or two. Okay.
Interesting. So Lefty says Vladdy is more of a quick turn play. I would assume that because he is still super young and potentially like tracking towards if he plays as even close to as long as his dad, a potential Hall of Fame career, and he has that storyline which we like. I'm assuming if it doesn't pan out, you're kind of mitigating the risk around a floor of like, well, he's still good long term kind of a thing.
Yeah.
What cards would you recommend looking at?
So his Bowman First Chrome right now, just average, is around $120. I think that is not the card I would go for personally. I would go for an auto, because if it's already around $120 floor, then you're probably not going to see as big of an increase as you would in an auto. So I would go for a Bowman auto right now. I'm going to potentially be looking for one of those, but also Vladdy falls in that weird range where it was probably from like 2015 to 2017 ish, where sometimes the tops cards are actually more. You can make better plays on those cards. So I actually think Vladdy's tops rookie card, is worth looking into. The Chrome rookie is worth looking into versus his Bowman, because he came out so early that the pop count is a little bit different than some of the ultra modern stuff.
Cool. So for those of you who kind of are not as familiar with this, his Bowman Chrome firsts are 2016. And so they're going to be a little bit higher price point because they're kind of the cards to own. And Lefty's saying if you can find an auto of the Bowman Chrome first 2016 card, good for you. But if that's not in your budget, if you need to spend less, he's a 2018, or is he 2018, 2019? I gotta fact check myself on this. His Topps rookie cards are 2019. He has several of them. So Topps Chrome 2019 with the RC shield on them would be kind of a lower price point play. Would you go in bulk on those, Lefty, for upside, or how would you do it if your price point is lower?
I think this isn't going to be one of those ones that you have enough time to probably get bulk and submit. I don't think you have, because then you're just like chomping at the bit, expecting PSA to get it back to you uber quick. I really would just buy some graded cards and sprinkle a little bit in there and see if he ends up being the guy that I think he's going to be at the end of the year. I think his numbers will play out top of the league. So
nice. All right, Chad. What do you think of Lefty's Vlad Guerrero call, and who are you buying?
I love Vlad Guerrero. I've probably, for my personal collection, I've probably got 50 plus raw condition Vlad rookie cards. I haven't graded any of them because they're part of my personal collection, and I just don't care. If you, with a million card plus, I've got maybe 1,000 graded cards, and everything else is ungraded. So back to the question about what you would do. I think you nailed the question, but the way I build my portfolio is if I can buy 3 of a card and sell 2 of them at a 50% profit, the third one is free. The third one gets stashed in my personal collection, and I made money on the other 2. So that's how you end up hoarding 1 million plus cards, as you flip to sell, make enough profit, and you keep one for free. I don't think I have very little, if any, money tied up in the cards in my 1 million plus card collection. That's all pretty much owned outright.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. So, anyways,
who are you buying?
My buy of this week, just like Lefty, I'm still doing the plays that we wrote about. I'm still collecting a lot of the 2023 and 2022 Woods and Churio plays for planning on for next spring. That's a 6-month play for me. Buy them all off season, get them graded. I'd like to have, instead of 20, I'm shooting for, I might have 50 of each of those players. But anyways, my buy of the week, I'm doubling down on my Russell Wilson play from about a month ago. I like third-year players. Andy and I didn't talk about this on our football thing last week, but I like looking at third-year breakout wide receivers. And the third-year breakout wide receiver that I am targeting this year is Jerry Jeudy. Even with an awful Russell Wilson and an awful offense last year in Denver, Jeudy still managed to put up decent numbers. And with Tim Patrick coming back this year so they can spread the ball around, Sean Payton has, he's done a lot of great things for top wide receivers. Judy's the clear number one in Denver. I think he is going to have a breakout year this year, and so I am buying Jerry Jeudy rookie ticket autos. Right now, you can buy their raw cards for $30 to $40. According to gemrate.com, there's a 62% gem rate, and they sell for anywhere from $100 to $125. So I bought 3 of them this week. I'm hoping to buy 5. I'd like to get 2 more. I'm going to send them off to PSA and hope for some 10s.
Love it. The 15th overall pick in the 2020 NFL draft. Andy Kaysen would call that draft capital, and I love it. Janelle Shue is a Broncos fan. Love that. And Chad's buying Russell Wilson and doubling down on Jerry Jeudy. Rookie ticket autos. That's pretty solid. I love that call. And that's close to Ryan Painter's $20 play of the day, although it's $30. So a little bit more, but still right there in that low, or high floor, high upside situation. I love Sean Payton from an offensive standpoint. So I think that's a good call, Chad. Very interesting. All right. So in terms of who I'm buying, there are 2 guys that I don't have enough cards of. And I think one of them Kendall's going to disagree with, and that's fine. But the other one I know Kendall's not going to disagree with. Before I tell you my 2 guys, I'm staying very narrow focused. I will reiterate that I said earlier in my win of the week, Jackson Churio and Caleb Williams. I'm still actively looking for Jackson Churio and Caleb Williams cards that I feel fit the scenario where they're either underpriced and already PSA 10s, or they're gradable cards. And they might, like with Caleb, I don't necessarily need autos, but I think I need something a little bit more than the base. So some type of refractor I'm looking at for Caleb Williams, the Bowman Chrome University First specifically. And then with Churio, I think like the Sapphire edition PSA 10s will have huge upside just based on what we've seen with Elly's Sapphire. Like Elly's cards have all gone up, but the one that really like shocks me with how much it's going for in PSA 10 is the Sapphire edition first. So anyway, those 2, but the 2 guys that I don't have enough of in my sports card investment portfolio that I need more of, that I'm going to look for 2 players only at the National. 2 players only. One is Patrick Mahomes. I have 0 Patrick Mahomes cards, and I feel like a card show is a place where I feel like I could go through even some value boxes and just try to find any Pat Mahomes rookie card or any even non-rookie that happens to be serial numbered or any kind of parallel. Even a cool looking insert of Patrick Mahomes, I think later on this NFL season would go up in price, or even into the playoffs. Because I do think I see the Chiefs going back again into the playoffs, if not winning the Super Bowl, at least getting far enough to where there's enough hype to sell Patrick Mahomes for a profit. And I think with everybody focusing on Burrow and Hurts and even Tua and Josh Allen and Russell Wilson, I think that Patrick Mahomes is still right under our nose heading into football season. And he's still a guy who will hold value long-term, even if he doesn't materialize this season. So we all know I'm impatient, and I want Patrick Mahomes to work out this season. If I can find some Patrick Mahomes cards at card shows, I think that's where I want to buy him. I think you could probably get burned on like eBay auctions or MySlabs or buying Patrick Mahomes online. I think you could maybe get burned on that. But I think if you could find some, I'm not necessarily looking to spend big money on like a Patrick Mahomes auto. I don't have those rookie auto. I don't have that money, but I do have potentially enough money to get some Patrick Mahomes cards that are lower priced in value boxes, potentially non-rookies that are parallel, serial numbered, things like that. And the other guy that I'm looking to do the exact same thing with is Shohei Ohtani. I think Mahomes and Ohtani, I don't have enough of those guys. They're a little bit captain obvious for me. Typically I go deeper than that, but I'm looking at the National right under my nose. Goats of their sport, active goats, guys that are future Hall of Famers that still have long careers left. Those are the 2. I'd never talk about those 2 guys, but I'm talking about him today as who I'm looking at buying. Kendall.
I like those plays. I mean, as much as Patrick Mahomes infuriates me, I hate the way he like tucks his butt when he runs. Like it just oh man, I like him, but like I just want him to just I want to just watch him throw. I don't want to watch him run. I don't want to watch him talk. I just want to watch him throw the dang ball. And so it's just like, okay, great. But I felt the same way about Manning, that little like Revo helmet, little like trot he used to do. I was like, oh gosh, it's horrible. But anyway, I do respect Mahomes, and I am buying other quarterbacks. I've been buying Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen this offseason, but and I've already doubled this comp for this card. I bought this from Krim a couple of weeks ago, and out of 15 auto Jalen Hurts, but the card's already doubled in value. So literally one sold yesterday for double what I paid for it. So and it's not even August. I mean, yeah, it's not even preseason yet. So I'm in on the Shohei play, though.
Let's get into who we're selling, and we'll go to you. But real quick, I do want to acknowledge Projectile Dysfunction in the comments says, I believe in Ohtani, but is now the time to buy. I would say not necessarily. I would say now is probably the time to sell. Like now is like you can't go wrong, honestly. I think you can buy, sell, and or hold Ohtani. Like I think there's nothing you can do wrong with Ohtani. For me personally, the reason why I'm not going to go actively try to force myself to buy an Ohtani card at the National. That would be stupid. So Projectile, I agree with what you're saying. But I think that like looking around a place like the National gives me probably the most opportunity to try and find something, especially in a bulk deal. Like if I could get multiple Ohtanis and get the person to come down potentially, or if I see other little deals within a stack and there's some Ohtanis there that fit, that's where I would pick up some Ohtanis. But I agree with the general sentiment of like probably not the best time to buy Ohtani.
Yeah. I mean, his market really couldn't get hotter right now.
Yeah, exactly. So Kendall, who are you selling?
Well, I'm about to start selling quarterbacks. This Jalen Hurts card is sitting on my desk, so I don't forget to list it. I'm selling the United States Women's National Team cards. I've sold 2 Rose Lavelle's this week. I've sold a Sophia Smith, and I have an auction out for an Alex Morgan. And then I have a Trinity Rodman purple out of 250 PSA 10 that's still listed. So I am selling those cards. I'm still making consistent sells on some old Bowman Chrome plays that I kind of missed on, that I've been sitting up for a while. Alex Kirilloff, I've been holding his autos for a while, finally letting some of those go, pretty much for a wash and stuff like that. But I want to take a point right now to talk about Kodai Senga and Roki Sasaki. These dudes are freaking incredible. And I have a friend whose name is Ivan, and he only pretty much buys MPB cards, which is the Japanese versions of their cards. And so he has made ridiculous turns on some of these cards, buying them for like, for instance, there's a 2017 Topps Now Kodai Senga card. The raw card is selling for about $499. He paid $15 for it, and he now has a PSA 10. He's listed it for $1,500. He paid $15 for it, and then put it in a bulk grade. Like this dude, my friend Ivan is pulling some deep wins from MPB, and I think it only gets better as Roki gets. Roki probably is the best pitcher in the world right now, and he just doesn't happen to be pitching in the MLB. So I think it would be interesting to make some deep plays and go for Roki rather than like if you're looking for a couple year investment that would pay off big time, he might pay off super big.
Nice. That's huge. That's like a Victor Wembanyama call right there.
Right. I mean, his spin rate and all that kind of stuff. He literally throws a cut splitter it goes down and to the left. Like, it's just freaking sick. So if you're looking for a long-term play over an athlete that's going to probably 10x in the next like big 10x, not like from 100 or not from like 10 to 100. Like this dude's gonna ball out, and I think
say these names one more time.
So
These are Japanese professional baseball players. Okay.
Well, so Kodai Senga is in America. Like he plays in America now.
Okay.
He's already made the transfer. But Roki Sasaki, ROKISASAKI. Roki is filthy. I mean, he's one of the best pitchers I've ever seen, and he's 21, I believe, and he's still pitching in Japan. He pitched in the Classic and was just filthy, but he is going to be the next huge thing into baseball, probably. So,
love it. Love that little tidbit, dropping it in there, drops it into the who we're selling segment, someone to potentially buy. But I love it, Lefty. Good work.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, but who I'm selling is Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen, about to offload them, and then United States Women's National Team.
Love it. Chad, who are you selling?
As you've heard me say in the last couple of shows, this is the week that I list all of my football plays that I've been gearing up for the last 3 to 6 months. I will slowly start. I can't get them all listed in one day because there's several hundred of them, but I am going to be starting this week and next week. I will have my plan is by the 1st of August, I will have all of my football graded cards online for sale, because I like to be one of the first ones to the market. And like Paul had said earlier, it's easier to sell on the way up than it is on the way down. Mm-hmm. So those are sells that I'm going to do for sure. But two specific ones. One, I had said earlier, I'm going to get to Sal Frelick. Sal Frelick is now a sell. In the last 72 hours, he's broken the Elly De La Cruz shadow curse that we talked about in the Overflow show. Lefty hit the nail on the head in his answer on that Elly De La Cruz, that the players haven't performed to break through the shadow. Well, Sal Frelick, have yourself a day, young man, broke through, followed it up with a 1 for 3 yesterday. Had 2 great first games in the last 72 hours. His card has gone, his Chrome First Auto has gone from $91 to $300. Now, back in early April, to answer the question about the call-up, when it looked like he was going to make the Brewers roster, his card was selling back in April for around $155. So waiting until the call-up definitely paid off in this case. The last sale was yesterday for $300, and I think it's going to go up a little bit more. I think you could see one maybe hit $350 before they come back down. Depends on how well he does. If he pulls an Elly, those cards could keep going up. The other one is Encarnacion Strand, CES. His cards, so back in spring training, when it looked like he was going to make the club or possibly make the club, his cards were selling, his Chrome First Autos, PSA 10s were selling for around the $250 to $275 mark for a base. On July 11th, his card sold for $310. One sold 2 days ago for $450. So they're up tremendous. So those are 2 guys that right now, upon call up, their cards have spiked drastically. So Frelick went from $91 to $300, and CES went from roughly $300 to $450. So if you have their cards, now is the time to sell. Do not think that they're going to be the next Elly, because I was looking when we were talking about that, there have been over 100 players called up to the major league so far this year. The only ones that have paid off beyond initial call up is Elly De La Cruz, and basically Elly De La Cruz. And now, you're talking about 2, 3, 4 guys maybe that have value after the call up. So 95 or 8, whatever that percentage is, the call up is the time to sell. So sell those cards, take your profits now.
Yeah, for sure. So like Mark Drzezinski earlier asked what the strategy is. That's it right there. And Janelle asked about a website to track all of that. And so we're going to continue to try to do that. But Chad, you mentioned the Overflow show. I can't emphasize enough how good the Overflow show was on Friday. You guys and Chase Krim from Texas Roadshow Cards brought it super strong for the premium members. So for those of you not familiar with the Overflow show, what we're doing is if you're a premium member at nooffseason.com, you can ask an unlimited amount of questions all year, and we're going to answer them each week on the Overflow show. And if you're a premium member, you get the Overflow show also, obviously. If you're not a premium member at nooffseason.com and you just you can listen to the Overflow show on Spotify or YouTube, but you do have to upgrade for that feature. So hopefully you all enjoy the Overflow show. We know you can't get enough sports card strategy shows, so that's why we have the Overflow show for you. All right, everybody, it's time for the gauntlet. So this is a segment that Kendall and I used to do a couple years ago. We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back with Chad because Chad said it's actually his favorite segment from when he was an audience member. Now he's an analyst. So the guys have submitted their gauntlet cards to me, and we're going to start with Lefty's submission. So Lefty has submitted 2 cards. Chad and I are going to have to pick between these 2 cards. So I'm going to cue it up here.
Oh man, and, I love the gauntlet. I love the gauntlet.
So I do too. It's super fun. Let's bring in Lefty's card. Number 1 is Lefty. Do you want to walk us through why you chose this card? It's a 2000 Panini Absolute number 195 Tom Brady rookie. It's serial numbered out of 3000, and this is a BGS 8.
Yeah, so there's just a lot going on in this card. You know, when you're talking about Tom Brady cards, this isn't the one you typically think of. But I think this one is a hilarious image of Tom Brady scrambling, first off, in sweatpants. Like, can't get better. Old school terry cloth sweatpants. And then you've got the 2000 rookie out of 3000, but it's a BGS 8. So there's a couple things. Of course, it's Tom Brady. Is he the GOAT? You know, like, are you still investing in him? You know, But it's a BGS 8 with a 9.5. I like how they had to add that because with a 9.5 though,
9.5 centering,
because the surface is a 7, and you can't get higher than a 1 point higher than your lowest grade. So, so I added this into the gauntlet because of the randomness, but also it's still a Tom Brady rookie card.
Yeah, it's a nice gauntlet submission. So you guys will get familiar in the audience with like what these submissions end up being like, because Lefty's point, like what he and I enjoy about it is like there's always a bunch of stuff right with the card, but there's a ton that's wrong with the cards too. So it makes it really tough. So Chad Dyer in the house, good to see you. We always give shout outs to the audience when they come into the live chat. So good to see Chad Dyer. I think he's a Football Card Quest entry person. So good to see you. All right. So we got to pick between that card and this Lionel Messi 2023 Leaf Vibrance Midnight Black Shimmer Auto 1 of 1. This is one of those 1 of 1s that's not at all a 1 of 1. Which is, I know why he chose this. It's also a hideous looking card, by the way.
I know. It's just like, and so I had to do a battle of the goats here, but a battle of the goats in wildly weird cards. And so it's like, which goat would you have that is, one's a Leaf, one's a BGS 8, one is like just a disgusting looking horror film from the 80s.
Oh my God.
And the other one is he's in sweatpants scrambling, doing something he never does. And so it's just, they're priced about the same, but the Messi card is with all the Messi hype, I had to add Messi into the gauntlet today. And so battle of the goats here, but they're just strange goats. They're strange.
I would say too. I mean, phenomenal job on this, by the way, Lefty. I don't know. I mean, I think I know my answer, but like I will say in typical Leaf fashion, with no disrespect to Leaf, because I actually have a lot of respect for what they do. Like I really do. But like in typical Leaf fashion, I think what they've done here is they've probably had Messi sign a ridiculous amount of stickers. And then instead of being like, hey, we're going to put these stickers on like 1,000 cards and serial number them to 1,000, we're going to make them each one of ones. And we're going to have 1,000 one of ones, right? I mean, that's just my guess. I'm exaggerating, but it's probably something like that. And what the heck is a paladin? Am I missing? Like, is that
That's a paladin.
What is a paladin?
I don't know what it is, but I've definitely heard the name. But I've definitely heard it before.
There's a lot wrong with this card. But anyway, it actually, Lefty did an amazing job because this one sold for $650 on 28 bids.
Yep.
And the Brady sold for $600 on 26 bids. Basically the exact same sales price. Battle of the Goats, weird cards. I'm going to pass over to Chad. Chad, who are you picking between these two?
My gosh, I love this segment, but I didn't remember it being like a weirdo segment. So I clearly have been doing this wrong the last couple of weeks.
That's okay.
I will get the hang of this. Believe me.
You gotta get weird, man. There's
I'm gonna figure something to make you guys squirm. Believe me. But this thing here, I want to throw up on both of these cards. I'm going to go with the Messi, and here's my reason why.
The Paladin.
Because Messi just came to Miami, and because Messi is the hype cycle train is much higher on Messi right now than it is on Brady, and the fact that I can still grade the Messi and increase the value of it, I'm going to go with the Messi.
Okay, great rationale. And for clarification, it doesn't have to be weird, but it's just way more fun when it is.
This is hats off to you, Lefty.
While Chad's throwing up on the cards, there's a lot of comments. We appreciate everybody coming in here. Projectile Dysfunction says a paladin is like a knight. I said paladin because my brain's still in Spanish with Messi stuff. Oh, my shoe says like a wizard and a knight mixed.
The Paladin are called the 12 Peers, are 12 legendary knights, the foremost member of Charlemagne's court in the 8th century.
So that alone is reason to pick it because it's got a cool name.
Yeah, I'm going with the Paladin because Messi is still active and Brady's not, and I'd never know what to do with retired players' cards. So you guys have heard me make a lot of plays on Michael Jordan. That's because I know that like Jordan, I'm going to crack it out of this slab. I'm going to submit it to PSA because of this, that, and the other reason. And that's the play. But like, I don't know what the play is on a Brady card. Like I don't think he's coming back. I don't know what's going to increase his value. Everybody knows he's going to the Hall of Fame. I don't like Tom Brady at all. I hate U of M. I'm going with Messi. There it is.
I think next week, Lefty, I'm going to pull 2 of Paul's recrack cracks and make you guys select between those.
You should.
That's good.
That'd be good. Those would be weird. All right, so Messi's moving to the next round. Up next, Lefty and I have to pick between these two. Chad has beautiful photos of them. One is a 1957 Topps Bart Star PSA 5, which I would assume is a very high grade for that card. The second one is a 1969 Topps Lou Alcindor rookie PSA 7, which I would assume is a very high grade for that card as well. I don't know anything about what these cards sell for. Chad, give us a little bit more information about these.
Yeah, so the reason I picked these 2 cards is because you 2 guys are not necessarily vintage guys, so I wanted to go and put you out of your comfort zone a little bit. So I guess I maybe did okay here on the sense that I'm making you squirm a little bit. These are both rookie cards. These are both Hall of Fame legends of their sports. These are both relatively high grades for the year of the cards. Both of these cards sold on eBay with bids of within $10 of one another. The Bart Star sold for $740. The Lou Alcindor sold for $750.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
so that's about a $750 card. And they're both rookies of Hall of Fame legends.
Lefty, do you know who Lou Alcindor is?
Yes,
Just
I
checking.
do.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Lefty's super young compared to Chad and I. But he knows what he's doing. I'm making a joke, of course. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So Lefty, you're going first here. Who are you picking between these two?
Give me the tall boy, Kareem coming
boy.
home. The Lou Alcindor card is a GOAT card, man. He was the one I thought for a long time was going to be the only Bucks championship. Love me some Bucks cards. Love Giannis reclaiming what the Bucks are doing. But Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, tall boy card, 1969 tops. Take it to me.
Okay, great pick. First of all, Chad, great work on this, because not only are you 100% correct, we don't talk enough about vintage on this show, and we need to talk about vintage way more on the show and on the website, because there's a lot of plays to be made with vintage. And I am a big fan of looking at some of these cards and trying to figure out what some plays would be. I need to educate myself more. My pick is Lou for two reasons. Kareem for two reasons. Number one, I'm a huge basketball fan. I love Kareem for many, many reasons. I believe that like Kareem is going to be a guy that we all look back at it like 20, 30 years from now. That this card is going to be one that we all want. It's not going to be as expensive as the mantle, but I think it's going to be a card that we all revere. It's cool that it's a tall boy. It's cool that it's his rookie. It's his rookie, right, Chad?
Yes, both are rookie cards.
Both are rookie cards. So I think it's awesome. It'd be awesome to have a Kareem rookie. What really seals the deal for me, though, is Aaron Rodgers has tainted every single Packers QB. So anytime anyone
just an opportunity to hate on. Just an opportunity to hate on Aaron Rodgers.
Perfect opportunity to absolutely hate on Aaron Rodgers. So we're definitely not picking. Sorry, Bart Starr. I know you're not Aaron Rodgers. You're a good guy, but you're associated with Aaron Rodgers, and definitely Kareem.
Aaron Rodgers is associated with him, bro. He's not associated with Aaron Rodgers.
Thank you, Lefty. Aaron Rodgers is lucky to even be mentioned in the same show, let alone sentence, as Bart Starr. So, but Aaron Rodgers has unfortunately tainted Bart Starr for me. So the champion of Super Bowl I is going to have to lose to I think 4 or 5-time NBA MVP, former all-time leading scorer since LeBron broke his record this year, Kareem. Brian Steeler 714 and Oh My Shoes are all in agreement with Lefty and I on the Kareem card. Okay, so we've got Messi versus Kareem, and then there's two more gauntlet submissions here real quick, because Connor Barnett, who's helping us out on the show, he's in the back right now, backstage at nooffseason.com in the studio. Did a great job, I think, helping me pick some gauntlet submissions for this week. So these are more on the lower end, I would say, affordable for everyone, would be Anthony Edwards, PSA 10, 2020 Prism Red, White, and Blue. I think this is a pretty relevant card. You could get it now for $198 on eBay. I think it's a good PSA 10 of Anthony Edwards against Julio Rodriguez for about the same. You could get it for a little bit less. This Julio Rodriguez 2022 Topps Chrome Update Sapphire Edition PSA 10 rookie debut. His is 170 or best offer. So let's say, for the sake of the gauntlet, Lefty, you're up first. Do you want an Anthony Edwards 2020 for 200, or do you want a J-Rod Update Sapphire rookie for, let's say, 150? Which one are you picking here?
That's tough. I really believe in Anthony Edwards' market. And I also believe that Julio is extremely undervalued right now. just because his performance has been doo-doo this year. But the Mariners have been struggling. I do believe that Julio turns it around. But because it's a rookie debut, Topps Chrome's not kind of really in my wheelhouse, I think I'm going to take the Anthony Edwards.
Yep, I like it. Chad, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't understand why everybody's hating on Julio this year. When you look at his numbers, other than his OPS and his slugging is down, his home run rate is up, his doubles, his triples, his stolen bases, his batting average is down 20 points. But overall, I think Julio is performing very similar to what he did last year. I think he got lost in the craze of the new guys like an Elly De La Cruz this year.
It's a sophomore slump for him.
Yeah, and it's not really a slump though. I mean, he's hitting the ball well. I mean, if we had a player with his stats on the Brewers, I'd be doing backflips. It just they're comparing him to what he did last year in a 500 at bat, shortened season. I'm a sucker for color match, so I always look for color match. That's a color match that is a sick card, but because it is an NBA or it is a MLB debut card, I don't collect the MLB debut cards. They don't hold a lot of value long term. I'm going to go with the Anthony Edwards for that reason as well.
Props to Connor for coming up with a good little face off here between Edwards and J-Rod in terms of the card. So listening to Chad and Lefty kind of go through their thought process, I'm going to also pick Anthony Edwards. So he's going to move to the next round. I think I actually think right now is a great time to buy J-Rod cards. They just have to be the right J-Rod cards, right? So
yeah, I just wouldn't buy this card.
Yeah.
If that wasn't the debut card and that was a sapphire color match Topps Chrome, it's Julio all day long.
There you go. Love that. So that's a great takeaway from this part of the segment. Peterborough Sports Cards. Great to see Peterborough Sports Cards in the live comments. Thank you. He says AE for sure. Shane Graham, totally on the same page as Chad and Lefty. If it wasn't the rookie debut, maybe the Julio. So yeah, great work there. All right, so we've got Messi weird card versus Lou Alcindor rookie versus let's do the
three Anthony Edwards
versus three Anthony Edwards. Perfect. Okay. Last card. Last matchup rather. Luka 2018 Green Prism PSA 10. $975 or best offer versus Jalen Hurts 2020 Mosaic Genesis rookie super short print PSA 10 true base. Not sure what the true base means related. Maybe Chad knows in the eBay listing, but this would be 1,600 or best offer. So let's just assume this is a $1,200 card and that the Luka is a $900 card. So, Chad, what do you think about, and maybe explain the significance of the Genesis Prism and the super short print here? What would you pick between Jalen Hurts Genesis, Luka Green Prism, both PSA 10s?
First of all, I have no idea what true base means on a Genesis. I mean, Genesis is our short printed. They're very cool cards. They are hard to hit. I own 2 Genesis out of 1 million sports cards. I own 2 Genesis cards. They are very hard to hit.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that looks a little bit, the greenish blue in the background looks a little bit like a color match. I think with Hurts, the sky is the limit for where he could take his cards and his prices this year. I think he's way undervalued compared to the other quarterbacks' cards. Luka, the verdict's still out, man. They kept Kyrie. I just don't know what the Mavericks are doing. I think Luka could continue to go down in price. So I am going to go with the Hurts. I think Jalen's going to have another good year this year.
Cool. And thanks to Shane Graham says with Mosaic, there's a base rookie and a debut rookie. So maybe there's a Genesis debut.
Yeah, there's a debut rookie, but the true base doesn't.
I mean, there's true base must just be like
one is a debut
within within the eBay title or something.
One is a debut and one isn't. They're two different cards, so I'm not sure. Base refers to parallels, and there is only one Genesis. So
yeah. So Peterborough Sports Card says Hertz. Shoes says Hertz. Chad says Hertz. Lefty, what do you say?
Well, I'm curious on one thing. Where was this Luka card? Where did it peak? Do you know? Like, do you have that pulled up?
that Luka, the green card. Oh gosh, I bet you that's close to $5,000.
Yeah,
probably would have been 5X or 5K, probably
5 to 7K. Yeah.
So let's just take a moment to just rest in peace on Luka's market. Like this guy was the guy in the hobby for a while, and it couldn't really get worse for him right now. Plus, like, I don't like Luka's game. I respect him as a player, but like I would like if people are like, oh, if you were to start a dynasty today, which of these players would you choose? I would never choose Luka. I just don't like watching him.
Yeah.
And so puke green with it being on almost a color match. If you think about the Mavericks throwback jerseys, I'm picking Jalen Hurts all day long.
Yeah.
Forget it. Like
Same
that Jalen Hurts, I mean, they could be, it doesn't have to do with the value for me. Like it just has to do with I believe in Jalen Hurts' future more than I believe in Luka's future.
Absolutely. Me too.
That card,
that's my pick.
That card peaked. It hit $3,700 on January 5th of 2021.
Yeah. I think everything that shouldn't have been that expensive was that expensive on January 15th, 2021.
Yeah, but Luka's market is just horrendous.
Yeah.
Some of the card ladder data that they put out on Instagram about Luka cards just makes me laugh every time.
Yeah. And I'm with Janelle Shoe here. Hurts more upside with team success, which equals player success. And I think, and that's what drives football card value. And that actually doesn't necessarily always drive basketball card value. And I think that's another reason why I'm definitely going Hurts there. So, okay. There was one other phenomenal gauntlet submission from one of our top audience members. Brian Steeler 714 submitted, let's see. Okay, here it is. He submitted this one, which I knew you guys would love. He traded his Elly purple auto for a Shohei purple mojo. He wants your guys' feedback, our feedback, as well as we need to pick one of these for this gauntlet to go in with the rest. I have no idea what these cards sell for. So this might be a situation where we have to figure out what to do about the pricing. Because right now we're even with the 3 Anthony Edwardses, we're kind of around $1,000 range on all of them. I would assume that these are above that. I would assume that these are, but I'm not sure. Elly PSA 9, Chrome Prospect Auto Purple Refractor out of 250, and Shohei 2017 Bowman Mega Box Purple Refractor PSA 9. Lefty?
Well, I see Chad's
looking up the sales data.
Screaming on the keyboard, and so I'm assuming that he has the values pulled up. Do you?
No, I was looking something else up.
Steeler says they're both about 2K. Okay,
yeah,
great.
I was gonna say that the Elly would probably be around 1,500 with it being a 9. So maybe that's what I would pay for it, which maybe not be what it is. But as much as I love Shohei, I think I'm taking Elly here. Just because I think there's other Shohei cards that will get more attention, and that is Elly's card.
Okay. Sorry, Steeler. So far, we think you lost the trade, but they're both great cards. But they're still chatting on left.
I wouldn't say that. Hold on. I wouldn't say you lost the trade. I'm just saying
I'm going with the Shohei. I think there's a lot more upside on the Shohei. I think when the Elly craze, if he goes through a slump, that thing is gonna drop like a lead balloon. I think that card.
You mean like Luka?
Yeah, you could see Luka. I mean, there's actually a lot of buys to be had with Luka right now, but Elly De La Cruz, I think that's a very even swap right now, and give me Shohei every day of the week and twice on Sunday. You have a much higher ceiling and a much lower floor with Shohei. I can't see Elly going any higher than the nuclear explosion that he had entering this league. He, for his prices to sustain, he is going to have to get better than he already is. I don't think that's possible. You're going to see a Julio Rodriguez style crash. That $2,000 card is going to be worth about $450 next year at this time. Give me the Shohei.
I think Chad 100% nailed it. Steeler, I think what you did here is you sold high on Elly, my friend, and I love it. And I think you got a wonderful Shohei Ohtani card that is going to continue to hold value and experience hype spikes, which is why I want to be looking for Shohei right now, even though it's not necessarily the best time to buy in. I think there's probably no wrong play with Shohei. Like I said earlier in the show, you could buy, you could sell, or you could hold. Only sell if it's going to be a big profit for you. But I love it, Steeler. I think I'm going Shohei here too. So how do we round out this gauntlet, guys? I think what we have to do here is we have to just pick one out of the remaining cards. So who we're picking from here is Kareem, Weird Messi. 3. Let's do 4 Anthony Edwardses. Hurts and Shohei.
Lordy.
Do I have everything? I think we have 5 to pick from here. Did I mention 5?
Yeah, there's 5, except for the Messi card doesn't have a photo.
Yeah, that's because it's too weird. I took it down.
Okay. I love that I submitted a card too weird to show again.
Should we, to make this even, should it be 2 Messi cards? Because then it'd basically be like right around. Yeah.
2 Paladin 1-of-1s.
2 Paladin, 2 1-of-1s.
And to Brian's Steelers point with the what I was looking up before when you saw me typing on the keyboard was when I submitted my gauntlet, I did it via my phone and I couldn't add a link. And Paul was like, "Can you please add a link?" And I couldn't do it with my phone, so I had to I had to post a picture into the base camp to get us our pictures, and I made the mistake that Kareem is supposed to be a PSA 5, not a PSA 7. So the PSA 7 that was shown actually does have a $5,000
okay,
value. It's supposed to be a PSA 5 for that $800 value. So Brian Steeler, thanks for calling me out on that. That was a technology error, which I'm good for here and there. So
yeah,
I don't know if we want to make that a PSA 5 or.
We made the good choice, Paul, of choosing the one that was significantly higher value.
Yeah, so you'd have to, I mean, to make it fair, you'd have to do 3 of these Shoheis and 12 of your Messis and let's just
do 2 Messis, 2 Lous Kareems, 2 Kareems, 2 Messis, 4 Anthony Edwardses, 1 Jalen Hurts, or 1 Shohei. That's what we're gonna do. So, Kendall, you're up first. Who are you picking?
Assuming that I can buy all of them today, and I don't have to wait for it to come in the mail or whatever, or blah blah blah. I am going to take Jalen Hurts and sell it in a month.
Okay, Hurts. 1 vote for Hurts. Chad, who are you taking?
To me, this would be a no-brainer for Kareem, just simply because I love vintage cards. However, because that was my submission, I am not picking the Kareem. I'm not going to pick my own card. I am going to pick the Shohei card.
All right, we got a little drama coming down to the wire here. We got the Jalen Hurts super short print PSA 10 Mosaic Genesis rookie versus the 2017 Bowman Mega Box Chrome Purple Refractor Shohei Ohtani PSA 9. And the winner is, because I know exactly what the play is. Exactly what the play is. And it's just what Lefty said. and I have to know exactly what the play is for me to put my money into something, and it's the Jalen Hurts 2020 Mosaic Genesis super short print PSA 10. It's also a PSA 10. The Shohei is a PSA 9, and I don't know what the play is with the Ohtani, meaning what I mean by this is Lefty knows what I mean by this, and I think Chad does too. I'm not sure the entire audience does, so let me clarify. I don't know exactly when I would sell the Ohtani, and for that reason, because I know exactly when I would sell the Hurts, Chad says now, okay, there it is.
7-day auction right now, break the bank. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Okay. Both great picks. I don't think you can go wrong with either. I'm taking Hurts.
Yeah, Hurts that's tempting because for those that don't collect Mosaic, you have no idea how hard it is to get a Genesis PSA 10. Not only is it a short print, but to get those things had print lines. The Genesises are notorious for print lines. To get a 10 in a Genesis is, man, that's a rare card.
Hey, just validating my selection. I knew nothing about what Chad just said, so I appreciate the extra information as always. Because
I just would like to point out the absolute disrespect for Messi. After he literally hit a buzzer beater to win the game in his first Inter Miami game, you guys are just not. He is a paladin. He is a knight and a magician at the same time.
I'm so weirded out by that Leaf card. I want nothing to do with it.
That was a great pick, Lefty. I love that card.
I mean, Lefty
and the sweats on Tom Brady. I mean, let's not.
Yeah, like.
I mean, that's a close call there.
I literally tried to pick some of the best athletes. You'd be like, dude, I wanted somebody to be like, okay, I would buy a Messi card that's a Messi 1/1 auto no matter what. And you're like, oh, no matter what? No matter what. Boom. What about this card? And
Paladin. Like, what's a horror movie poster doing on a Messi card with the word Paladin? I don't know. Great show, guys. Great gauntlet. Good work by everybody.
I have a hot take I got to do here at the end.
Go for it.
Whoa,
so the hot take, here's the hot take. Paul Hickey will not be holding at least one of those Caleb Williams auto PSA 10s come draft day because he cannot. Hang on. Caleb Williams is going to have a 4-touchdown afternoon. His cards are going to spike, and Paul's going to list all of them. There's my hot take.
That's a good hot take.
That's a cold take, honestly.
Very good.
The hot take is that he holds them until the draft.
Oh, yeah, I guess. All right.
Well said, Lefty.
I screwed that up, but there it is.
I love it. That's funny, dude.
I love it. Yep. That's definitely very, very strong possibility. I just like the money. I'll just take the money back. Just take the money back.
He's going to have a 4 or 5 touchdown day. His cards are going to spike, and Paul's going to have a win of the week.
I'll still come on the show, and I'll be like, I was right.
I sold
it for profit.
And then draft
we're going to be like, okay.
Draft day is going to come around, and he's going to be wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, no, there'll be this big, then it'll be an L.
20x higher than
It'll be an L on draft day where it's like, everyone will be like emailing me like, hey, congrats on the Caleb Williams. And I'll be like, well, I sold them all back in November when he had a big game against Notre Dame or something. Who knows?
I acquired 2 Caleb Williams Sports Illustrated for Kids cards this week. So
yeah, nice. What are you going to do with those? I actually submitted mine to PSA in a bulk submission just for the heck of it.
So let me ask you guys this: with your Sports Illustrated for Kids cards, do they all come folded in half? All six of them.
Ooh.
They all come in the mailbox. They're folded in half. So the card in the middle is destroyed every single time.
Oh, I don't have a mailbox.
Never had that happen. You might need to talk to your post office or something because they should not be obviously like folding that magazine. But no, I've never had that happen. You might need to call your post office and be like, look.
Just hold them and I'll come get them.
Yeah, like don't fold that.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you why, because there's going to be an Arch Manning and a Bronny James coming up. And I'm going to actually try to track down somebody who can give me information. If anyone out there in the audience has any idea or any connections with anyone who plans out what these cards are going to be, the only thing I can think of is there's obviously not going to be a Bronny James or an Arch Manning until there's actual action photos of them in their USC and Texas uniforms. So I would think like here's my guess is that we will see Arch Manning and Bronny James SI for Kids cards in early 2024 because they're going to have action shots of them in their USC and Texas uniforms.
I think it's probably going to be earlier.
Maybe
for Archie. Archie probably will have one this fall. They'll probably put the first Texas game fit picture in there.
Yeah, you could be right. So we could see Arch in like November, December, and then we could see Bronny in January, February. Shoes says he leaves a note. I don't know if Shoes is being serious or not, but he probably is. He leaves a note on his mailbox that says, "Please don't fold magazines. They were doing it to mine, but I left a note on my mailbox." Nice, Shoes.
Well, we get our mail lady a gift every year for Christmas, so maybe I just need to stop out and talk to her. But one other thing here before we sign off.
Stop getting her a gift.
Yeah. One other thing we missed in the comments way back at the beginning of the show was Brian Steeler 714 was at a local card show, had one 2023 Blaster Bowman left. He bought it as he always buys the last box, and he opened it, and it had a Roman Anthony refractor auto centered beautifully. Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know what Lefty was talking about earlier, Roman Anthony Bowman Chrome first out of 2023 Bowman baseball is like one of the top plays that both Lefty and Chad are making. So they're high on Roman Anthony. They're high on that card. Congrats to Brian Steeler 714 for the poll. We love that. Thanks for pointing that out there, Chad. All right, everybody. Great show today. We're going to sign off and cue the rock music. We're going to see you all. Well, not all of you. We're going to see hopefully many of you at the National. And then for those of you that aren't there physically, you're going to see us put out some great content from the National. We appreciate you. We love you. NoOffSeason.com family. Paul Hickey for Chad Guell and Kendall McKee, Sports Card Strategy Show in the books. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.